A fitness and mindset coach to the #1 tennis player in the world, Aryna Sabalenka.
She's only the 3rd woman in history to be #1 for the entire year.
Grand Slam champion. What is the secret sauce there?
Most people's strengths are also their biggest weaknesses. One of Aryna's biggest fears is just losing everything. She had all these things in her head just growing and becoming like monsters and overwhelming her. And she kept asking in this moment, well, what do I do, Jason? What do I do? What do I do? What's the answer? And I just remember going like, oh, her attention was like everywhere. She was anxious, nervous, overexcited. She was like breaking all the bad records, right?
Yeah.
Now everyone on the planet has seen you make a mistake, lose your temper for a moment. So she had nothing to lose. She was like rock bottom. And I told her, I was like, listen, do you want to keep fighting or do you want to win? Because there's a big difference.
Aryna Sabalenka's coach just dropped a bomb that has the entire WTA world buzzing. He pointed the finger at Coco Gauff, claiming she pushed Sabalenka so hard that she almost walked away from tennis completely in 2022. The allegations are intense, the details are unsettling, and the timeline shows a pattern of mental strain nobody expected. This shines a light on the hidden pressures of professional tennis the fans rarely see behind closed doors. So what do you think? Was it fair to blame Coco Gauff for Sabalenka's struggles, or is the coach just covering himself? Drop your thoughts in the comments.
Worked with her to harness her emotions.
I'm the longest standing coach she's ever had in her life. She's like another one of my kids. These are our 4 things that we need to have to be able to perform your best for whatever it is you're about to do next. One of the biggest parts is everyone talks about fighting and grinding and all that.
Yeah.
This is just a bunch of superficial crap. Everyone knows there's things deeper inside that we're all lying to ourselves about.
What comes to the surface for you?
There was this moment where she was genuinely terrified that she was going to not know how to play tennis ever again, like she was done.
Jason Stacy, Aryna Sabalenka's longtime fitness and mindset coach, just dropped an interview that shook the tennis world to its core. He's been with Sabalenka for 7 years, making him the longest-serving coach in her pro career. That kind of history gives his words serious weight, credibility that fans and media can't just brush off. When someone that close to an athlete speaks openly about mental health struggles and near career-ending breakdowns, people sit up and pay attention. The bombshell moment came when Stacy revealed what happened in 2022, a time when Sabalenka genuinely feared she might never be able to play tennis again. Mentally and emotionally, she had hit rock bottom, and walking away from the sport seemed like the only sane choice. Stacy explained that she was completely overwhelmed by everything going on around her. Her focus was scattered, her nerves on edge, and her energy swinging from anxious to overexcited all at once. She was breaking records, but not in a way anyone would want, the kind that signaled
A lot of emotions when you invest.
Of course. If you're truly invested, of course.
Yeah.
To pretend, it's not true.
So how does Aryna, and how do you, as her mindset coach, like, how do you frame that moment?
How I frame it?
Do you judge it? Do you kind of pull back and be like, hey, listen, like, this is just, I guess, how does she reflect on it? Because, you talk about values.
Sure.
Is that who she wants to be?
Yeah, how do you want to be seen?
And do we care?
Well, I mean, yes and no.
There's a load related to that,
Yeah, I mean, I think yes and no. I mean, to say that we don't care is, we all know that's not true. We all care
of course.
how people perceive us. I mean, whether it's superficial or not, how you live by that, you can have the different layers of that.
Yep.
But, I mean, I think that, if you were to ask her about like those moments when she does have something like this, that was her, like, obviously she had a lot of emotion, a lot of frustration. She was this close to making history and so much and really close.
Close. So history in terms of being a Grand Slam champion.
3 times in a row of winning Australian Open, for her, it was going to be a beautiful thing. It was she won the 2 years previous, and that was into the final of 3 years in a row. It's pretty amazing.
Stacy revealed that Sabalenka kept asking him, almost in desperation, "What do I do, Jason? What do I do? What's the answer?" She was searching for someone to hand her a quick fix, a magic solution to make everything right instantly. But the truth was, her struggles weren't just about tweaking technique or changing tactics. These were deep, psychological battles that had been simmering for years and finally erupted all at once. Stacy's most eye-opening point was about how the world had seen Sabalenka mess up and lose her cool on court countless times. She had become infamous for emotional outbursts and losing control in high-pressure moments. That reputation stuck to her like glue, shaping how everyone viewed her, whether she wanted it or not. Stacy said she had reached the point of having nothing left to lose. She was at rock bottom, facing only 2 paths: climb back up or walk away completely. Then Stacy hit her with a question that purportedly shifted everything. Do you want to keep fighting or do you want to win? Because those are 2 very different things. That distinction is huge when you break it down. Fighting means struggling without a clear plan, while winning demands strategy, calm, and mental focus. Sabalenka had been fighting for years, draining herself emotionally and physically, yet never hitting the results her talent.
And it's not so much about winning the title, it's more about, we can talk about that more later if you want to, but this shift of, how do you keep going when you're on the top, and it starts to become more about like a legacy, your family name, your team, more than just you getting that title. There's a bigger sort of driver behind it, it can be. But for her to be able to truly be gracious and respectful for that moment, she can't not be who she is. She has a lot of fire in her, a lot of energy. That was the part we had to over the years learn how to maintain. Because, well, it's true because in most situations, most things, that way I look at it is that most people's strengths are also their biggest weaknesses if they don't know how to manage and regulate those things very well, right? And so when you can learn how to regulate yourself and understand how they work and become more aware, then your strength can more often be your strength that gets you somewhere, but it can still also hold you back or cause, it can be a weakness, for lack of a better word. So that's that moment where she had to let it out. Like, she can't just sit there holding it and wait while they're setting up and while the other person's talking and, saying, and then have to be gracious and thankful and all that kind of stuff. What she is, and she does feel that way because she's been on both sides, right? So it's not like a disrespectful thing about it. It's more like I don't want to be, holding this in, and I can't because it's just who I am. She's an emotionally based, sort of driven person.
The coaching team around Sabalenka immediately noticed how non-stop questions about Gauff were affecting her mindset. Every press conference turned into a comparison trap between the two players. Every tournament saw media and fans flocking to Gauff, while Sabalenka, despite her higher ranking and more consistent results, got treated like an afterthought. The mental toll of being overlooked while watching someone else get the spotlight is brutal. Stacey revealed that one of Sabalenka's deepest fears was losing everything she had worked so hard to build. She had poured years into climbing the rankings and cementing herself as an elite player. Seeing Gauff seemingly bypass all those steps and get instant superstar treatment triggered massive insecurities. Those fears became monsters in her head, growing uncontrollably until she couldn't function on court. Stacey explained that Sabalenka's own strengths were turning against her. Her intensity and competitive fire, which made her a threat, were also burning her out emotionally. She couldn't separate her identity from her tennis results. Every loss felt like personal failure, and every comparison to Gauff reinforced that she wasn't good enough. The mental spiral became self-reinforcing and nearly impossible to escape. The wild part? Gauff did nothing wrong. She didn't talk trash, she didn't seek attention at Sabalenka's expense, she just existed, talented and marketable. But from Sabalenka's perspective, Gauff symbolized everything she feared she would never achieve: recognition, endorsements, and true fan adoration. The contrast in how fans treated Gauff versus Sabalenka was impossible to ignore. Gauff was celebrated for composure and maturity. Sabalenka was criticized for emotional outbursts. Gauff was praised as a complete player. Sabalenka was seen as powerful but one-dimensional. Gauff was invited to big events outside of tennis. Sabalenka remained in the tennis bubble. Every comparison hammered in the feeling that she was missing something Gauff naturally had. Stacey pointed out that Sabalenka had been top 5 in the world for years, a huge mark of consistency and excellence. But that effort was overlooked for Gauff's flashy highlights and mainstream appeal. For a fiercely competitive player, being excellent but unseen created resentment that turned inward as self-doubt. Stacey's approach focuses on more than surface-level grind and fight. It digs into deeper truths people avoid. For Sabalenka, that truth was jealousy and insecurity over Gauff's fame and success. Recognizing and working through it was key to her mental recovery. Stacey's own history gives him rare insight. He was homeless from ages 12 to 16 after losing his father at 11. He endured real trauma and survival challenges that taught him how people react under extreme stress. That perspective lets him see when someone is...
Everybody gets frustrated. Everyone gets, especially when everything you're doing is the entire world is watching you and judging you. It's not like when you and I make a mistake,
right.
It's like, oh, darn it sucks. You know what I mean? No, now everyone on the planet has seen you make a mistake or act a certain way or, you can lose your temper for a moment, because we've all done that. And so it's just understanding that, like, that's who she is. She's learned, she's matured, she's grown, but sometimes she's still going to have those moments, and that's those are, I guess, in some ways learning moments. It's like lessons to realize, like, okay, yes, we've been managing those 3 E's, quite a bit.
Yeah.
One of them being the emotion.
The coach.
Sabalenka's physical talent was never the question. She's always been one of the tour's most powerful players, but her inability to control her emotions and stay composed in critical moments was holding her back. The whole Gauff situation amplified those mental weaknesses, giving Sabalenka a real target for her insecurities. One detail that stood out was Stacy saying Sabalenka is like another one of his kids. That personal investment goes way beyond a typical coach-athlete relationship. He genuinely cared about her as a person, not just as a tennis player. That connection is what helped him guide her through the darkest moments when quitting seemed like the only option. The turning point came when Stacy helped her realize she had nothing left to lose. Her breakdowns were public, everyone had seen them, her reputation had already taken hits. That realization became freeing instead of crushing. If she was already at rock bottom, the only way to go was up. She could rebuild without fear. But the Gauff factor was still there. Every good performance she had got framed through Gauff comparisons. Every time Gauff won, Sabalenka had to answer questions about the contrast. The external pressure never fully disappeared. What changed was how Sabalenka responded internally through the work with Stacy. He revealed that when they first teamed up 7 years ago, she was ranked around 75th. They quickly climbed to the top 10, then top 5, and she held number 2 for a long stretch before reaching number 1. That should have felt like success, but her mental framework made it hard to appreciate. She was constantly comparing herself to others, especially Gauff. Stacy focuses on 3 pillars: the athlete's environment, physical improvement, and emotional control with self-awareness. For Sabalenka, emotional control was the toughest. Environmental challenges were manageable. Physical improvements were straightforward for someone with her talent. But controlling emotions while watching Gauff dominate required a total shift in how Sabalenka viewed herself and her career. Stacy sees his role as aligning who someone is with what they're trying to achieve. For Sabalenka, that alignment was off. She wanted respect and recognition, but her on-court behavior drew criticism. She wanted to be loved like Gauff, but her intensity made her polarizing. She wanted commercial success, but her Belarusian background and personality made her less marketable than an American superstar. Working through these misalignments forced her to accept hard truths. She would never be Gauff. She would never have the same mainstream appeal. She would never get invited to the same events. But she could dominate in ways Gauff couldn't, through raw power and determination. Stacy's philosophy is having 1 foot in, 1 foot out, staying focused while maintaining perspective. That perspective helped Sabalenka see that her obsession with Gauff was destructive. The solution wasn't trying to be Gauff, it was being her own best version. Stacy's comment about her repeatedly asking, "What do I do?" shows how lost she felt. All that talent, but no strategy for mental battles. The Gauff comparison represented everything out of her control: media, fan attention, brand deals, and cultural appeal. Fighting for control over that insanity was exhausting. The breakthrough came when Sabalenka stopped fighting Gauff and started fighting for her own identity. She didn't need more popularity. She didn't need more marketability. She needed to be Aryna Sabalenka, embracing her intensity and channeling it with emotional control. Stacy's revelation about this near-quitting moment sparked debate in the tennis world. Is it fair to blame or credit Gauff for Sabalenka's struggles? Gauff supporters say she did nothing wrong. Sabalenka supporters argue that media and fan treatment contributed to real psychological strain. Both sides have a point, which is why this story resonates. The lasting impact of 2022? Sabalenka came back stronger and more self-aware. She won her first Grand Slam at the 2023 Australian Open. She reached world number 1. She held that ranking all year, only the 3rd woman in history to do so. Those achievements came after working through insecurities with Stacy. In a way, Gauff's rise forced Sabalenka to confront her demons and level up.